You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at Lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
You know, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable. Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war.
To make sure the economy doesn't collapse, I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
You're listening to Common Sense Radio with A.J. Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network.
Welcome to the program, folks. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. Do me a favor, go on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and hit the follow and share button for Lanterns.buzz. We've got a lot of great content on the site, a lot of great writers, a lot of great podcasters. We've got just a ton of good stuff. Got a jam-packed show. The world is on fire. The world is on fire, and we've got so much stuff going on that my head is about to explode. And this is the best time of the year. We got football, basketball coming up in another week or two. Baseball, as you know, I'm a huge sports fan. Huge. My Redskins won yesterday. Woohoo! And the Cowboys lost. All on Constitution Day. So happy Constitution Day a day later. And if you go on Lanterns.buzz, there's a article about number 24 University of Florida Gators who beat the University of Tennessee, which was ranked number 23 in the nation, at the end of the game on a Hail Mary pass. You don't see many games like that. The last time I can remember, I mean, it just doesn't happen that often. I mean, you know, the famous one with Doug Flutie in Boston College. But really, other ones don't really stick out in your mind that much because they don't happen that often. But yeah, the Cowboys lost, the Redskins won. How awesome is that? So I want to cover the news of the week. I also want to cover the college professor from John Jay University. What a disaster this whole situation is, because I'm not going to be popular with this perspective on it, as I support his freedom of speech. I support his use of Twitter, because we need to be consistent. And I've got a hell of a perspective that where I think it's coming from and where we go with it. Also, Bernie Sanders single-payer health care. Tax, health care ration to everybody. And all that tonight on the Lanterns Radio Network. So, as you know, and I've talked about it, I don't know how many weeks ago, about Colin Kaepernick. Well, people like Shaun King and his absurd obsession with tweeting out he's boycotting the NFL, yet he's tweeting out to all the NFL teams to sign Colin Kaepernick. But I thought you were boycotting it. Anyways, who am I? I'm just a man of white privilege that stands here and just doesn't have any common sense, because I'm too privileged to understand the racial injustice that Mr. Kaepernick is suffering, because he's made millions of dollars and he's oppressed. Oh, gosh. Oh, there's a report on a Bleacher Report that some Bengals players reportedly want team to consider signing Colin Kaepernick. And to me, being a huge football fan and following all the teams, because I play fantasy football, which is fake football, for money. Last year I finished second. This year I'm finishing first. Because as Ricky Bobby says, second place is the first loser, and I'm not going to be the first loser again. And it's funny, Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk reported the feeling within the locker room, we're told, is that the leash isn't quite so long. In regard to quarterback Andy Dalton's status as a starter moving forward following 2 losses to open the season. Okay, I understand that Cincinnati Bengals played 2 home games and they scored no touchdowns. And then later on in the article, it goes on to say Andy Dalton can be replaced by Colin Kaepernick, but with such a dysfunctional offensive line, it might not be good for him. Okay, so it won't be good for Colin Kaepernick, but why wouldn't it be good for Andy Dalton? Okay, take a minute and think. Take a minute and think. Andy Dalton is white. That's why. Maybe. I think what it is these race baiters, these bigots, like Shaun King, like D-Ray, like any of them, like all the leftists, all the progressive, all the anarchists, all they want to do is divide. It's solely on Andy Dalton's plate that the Bengals have sucked. They lost 20-0 last weekend. And it is the Bengals' fault that they didn't score. I mean, they have a why wasn't Michael Florio reporting about, okay, well, A.J. Green, this all-star amazing wide receiver, he didn't help them score. But it's all Andy Dalton's fault. And I understand the quarterback's the leader of the team. But I mean, come on, you've got 53 people on a team. You're talking about this guy, a white quarterback, and it's his fault that the defense let them score or he didn't score enough points. I mean, come on, let's be consistent. That's where these people do not come. I gotta slow down because I am just so fired up with it. I mean, I can't handle the absolutely absurd comments that this guy has. And he had the nerve, Shaun King, to tweet out about Tom Brady saying Colin Kaepernick deserves a spot on the NFL roster. Well, I can tell you what, Mr. Shaun King, Mr. Man with 2 white parents, because I don't even think you understand your own racial makeup. And maybe I shouldn't be saying that. But, hey, Shaun, both your parents are white. It's well documented. So I'm not going to go and take advice from you on anything. I don't care if it's about shoe style or who should be dog catcher. It just burns me that you are so supportive of a race when you should be supportive of human beings, because we're all human beings. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me, the hypocritical stance that you're taking and on your social media platform, because I know you're with the Young Turks and you've got about 788,000 followers. Yet, you're a hypocrite. You are a major hypocrite. In other news, just happy to start this Monday evening for you. London had a terrorist attack. Praise Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, that there were nobody that died. But head over to Lanterns.buzz. There's an article, and I'll tweet it out. They caught the first suspect. A second suspect was arrested on Saturday in connection with the subway attack at London's train station that left 30 people injured. Officials announced on Sunday as the city's terror threat level is downgraded to severe. A 21-year-old man was arrested late Saturday night in West London under the Terrorism Act, authorities said. Another 18-year-old man was arrested earlier in the day at the port of Dover, where ferries leave for France, and is also being held under the terrorism attack. The suspect names have not been released and no charges have been filed. Yet, if you look at the mainstream media, all you're hearing about is Donald Trump's tweets. That's all you're hearing about. And I don't really give two square dances or two flying, bleep, bleep, bleep about what President Trump is tweeting out. I honestly do not. I absolutely could care freaking less. Let's get these reports are that there's several people that are involved. Let's catch everybody else. Let's stop worrying about what the United States of America's president's tweeting out. He's a big-time tweeter, and that's what people aren't used to. He's tweeting out his thoughts. But shoot, let's move on, and let's try and help the UK, Britain, London, all the surrounding areas with anything we can to apprehend these terrorists. Oh, my goodness. I mean, what more could we ask for from the media? I mean, is that too much to ask that we are wanting actual facts? Well, here in my home state of Oregon, 15 days, no, it would probably be 16 or 17 days. After the Eagle Creek fire erupted, more than 1,000 fire personnel continue to battle the blaze that now has consumed more than 48,000 acres in the Columbia River Gorge. And the Columbia River Gorge is a beautiful area. It really is. It's been going really bad. And on Saturday, the EPA, which I thought President Trump was dismantling that, another campaign promise failure, defunding it. Oops, sorry to get off track. I'm a little ADD. They described that our area has the worst air quality in the U.S. And I can assure you, all last week, schools were banning recess outside. They were encouraging us Oregonians to stay inside, as the air quality here was absolutely atrocious. Some of the winds would carry it down my neck of the woods where I work at, and I work about 45 minutes north of where I live. And it was just absolutely where I worked at I went outside on a Monday and was using the blower, and I was out there for about an hour cleaning up the school grounds, and my lungs were on fire later on that day. It was absolutely horrendous. And then the wind came and helped settle it a little better by blowing it out, but what we need is rain, because the fire is only 31 or 32% contained. That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. So here in Oregon, and I know Montana, California, you're having your fires, but I'm talking to you from home, a hop, jump, and a skip away from where we live. About 2 hours where we live, to be politically correct. So keep us in your prayers. I absolutely ask you to lift us up, and rain's supposed to be coming in today and a couple more days this week. On Sunday, there's a little bit of light rain, but these firefighters need us, need your help, need your prayers to keep them safe. So lift them up and continue to pray. So we're going to go ahead and take a break right here. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at Lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
check out Lumberlax. This is a company started by an 11-year-old Kai Talley. He plays lacrosse, and the money that they profit off of the business they use to help less fortunate kids that cannot play lacrosse. He partners with nonprofits to give money to kids that physically cannot play the game due to special needs or illness. This is an amazing thing that he is doing, and he is extremely involved in his community. Take a look at the website, lumberlax.com, or email them directly at lumberlax@comcast.net and order a custom shaft for yourself or someone else. They also do coaches' gifts, team sticks. They work with people to do fundraisers and so much more. Please check out lumberlax.com, official sponsor of Common Sense Radio with AJ Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network. Welcome back to the program, folks. Glad to have you here on the Lanterns Radio Network. Check me out on Facebook at AJ Davis Podcast, and check me out on Twitter at Oregon Redskin. Also, check out Lanterns.buzz. Check out at Lanterns.buzz on Twitter, and check out the Facebook page, Lanterns. Also excited to announce that I will be attending CPAC 2018 with the other Lanterneers that are planning on going. I know Dylan's going, Watson Prunier, I'm sure Chris Pillier will be going, and I'm not exactly sure who else is going, but I cannot wait to get down there and co-host, do whatever they want me to do. I mean, they probably want me wiping chairs, and because you got people like Chris, Dylan, and Watson, cream of the crop, and then you have me. Oh. So, anyways, the hot thing this weekend that I saw all over the World Wide Web was the professor from John Jay College tweeting out, some of y'all might think it sucks being an anti-fascist teaching at John Jay College, but I think it's a privilege to teach future dead cops, end quote. Yeah, that was pretty amazing that he would say something like that. He is entitled to say whatever he wants under the U.S. Constitution. Day after Constitution Day, I support his freedom of speech 100%. Do I think it's dangerous? Yes. Do I want to know who he is? Yes, absolutely. So I pulled some audio. Go ahead and listen to this, please. It's very interesting.
Mike Isaacson is a professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice. He founded the Antifa group Smash Racism DC, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks for coming on.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
So your position, tell me if I'm mischaracterizing this, is people you define as fascists do not have free speech rights.
No. My position is that communities have the right to defend themselves against groups that actively seek to eliminate members of that community.
Defend themselves against violence, or defend themselves
against violence? I mean, we were talking about...
No, but physical violence? So
yes,
if I say, for example...
We're talking about a history, a group that has a history of enacting hate crimes. Yeah, no, we're not... Are we going to pretend like we're suddenly in this ahistorical world where Dylan Roof or Wade Michael Page doesn't exist, where Anders Breivik doesn't exist? Are you kidding me?
No. Are you really a professor, by the way?
What?
So here's the question, though. Is it past statements that have espoused violence, or is it acts of violence?
It's
so
both.
could you?
Okay, but we're talking about...
Hold on. Let me just finish my question. Could you commit violence against me if you thought that I had a history of saying things that you imagined were violent?
I would never commit violence against you. I actually, when I was younger, I was a libertarian, and I actually looked up to you when you were a libertarian.
Okay, but let's take me out of this. Okay. Let's just, I want to know, like, the concept of self-defense is a legal concept, but it's also got, like, a long history and tradition in common law. So the idea is, if I'm hitting you, if I strike you physically, if I physically commit violence against you, you have a right to commit violence back in order to protect yourself or your property.
Sure.
But you're seeming to say that anybody who has espoused ideas that have at some point in history led to violence can be the subject of violence from you. You're not saying that.
No, I'm not saying that.
Of course he's not saying that. He only wants to pick and choose. He's brutally honest. I find that refreshing that he's upfront about everything that he's talking about, because to me, when the college president came out Rewind. John Jay College is a liberal arts and criminal justice school. All you have to do is go on their webpage, and it says that right there in the front. So they are pro-police, obviously, being a criminal justice school. Liberal arts, so they're obviously, I mean, what university besides, places like Hillsdale, Liberty University are not major liberal? I mean, probably some schools in Utah and some in Texas, and a lot of the Christian schools, but a majority of schools are very, very liberal, and I just find it hilarious that there is such an uproar about what he said, because the thing that I am noticing is he wasn't that smart of a professor when he's going on Tucker Carlson to talk, because the smart communist, socialist, Marxist professors do not want the spotlight. They want to brainwash their children. They want to give them the means, like the Weather Underground you used to have back in the day, to figure out what they need to do on their own. And I have a clip that I'll show you later that at the end will just make your head almost explode, because it made me. I went back and listened to it 3 or 4 times, and it's kind of a lengthy one, but it's insane. So what I started to do was I started to do a little bit more research on John Jay University and kind of look into some of their staff members. And I know I went on and hit Marxism in their directory, and that brought up some interesting individuals. So that's where I go back and say the only reason the college president is mad is because it became mainstream to find out what this professor's views are. And I guarantee you they had a staff meeting right after, because this is how it works. It's how education works. I've been around it too long. I have friends all over that have been in it longer than I have. And this is how it goes. They'll come out with a new policy. You zero tolerance. You're fired if you go out without talking to public relations, anything like this. This gentleman, this professor, has already been put on leave, and I will be shocked if he retains his job. I will be shocked. He might be tenured, but the union will not support him. I how many times I've seen this rodeo one too many times. So I went and Googled, like I said, Marxism for some of their professors, and the first one I came off is Department of Economics at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, City of University of New York, Ian J. Seta Irizarry. And I apologize deeply if I butchered that. And the thing that caught me right off the jump was teaching interest, primary Marxist political economy. And then right after that, I thought that the irony, history of economic thought, economic history. Like, really? Okay. Alrighty. See? Again, you're not... Well, I guess Marxism is good. But I find it absurd that they're teaching this in public schools. I mean, I saw it. A local college was putting flyers up. Portland State University was having Marxism class. They have I don't want to describe it, so I make sure I don't out anybody, because I get a lot of backdoor information. Someone I know, or a conversation I had, yes, because we did have this conversation. I was there for that. Said they sent their kid up to Portland State during the summer for a social justice camp. That's where the left has you and I. They are indoctrinating. And I don't want to indoctrinate anyone. I want people to critically think. I want my kid to think critically and make rational decisions. That's something liberalism or Marxism is not part of. Anyways, another ADD moment for you. Sorry about that. went to another associate professor, John Pittman. Gets his email, phone number, room number, everything. And the thing that caught me is he has a PhD, a CUNY PhD, I don't know what that is, awarded in 1989 for a dissertation on Marx's capital and ethical theory. Okay. Ooh, get a little deep. So then the next one, assistant professor of economics, and his name was Joseph Rebello. And the things that they're writing, they're getting dissertations for things, they're just proud of this stuff. Their interest is his publications, the Economy of Joyful Passions, a Political Economic Ethics of the Virtual, Rethinking Marxism, Volume 18, Issue 2, 2006. So, that is why, lost my train of thought for a second. That is why the professor at the college was upset. Is because it came mainstream. Because you got people like that, those three, that's three. I could have probably went through the whole directory of staff and found something that is just absolutely should not be tolerated at a public education school. Anything that is Marxist, is socialist, right-wing leaning, left-wing leaning, you should be going to college to learn how to critically think. You should be going there to learn mathematics, how to read, write, how to come out into the real world, instead of coming out of college with about $85,000 to $110,000 worth of debt so you can go work at Starbucks and make sure that your Christmas colors are not on the cup. Or you can go to the University of Berkeley and protest Ben Shapiro because we can't have anyone with different opinions of ours anywhere. Or we can go out and stand in traffic and block it because white supremacists, all of them, anybody that is white is a white supremacist in these absolutely asinine people's mind. Take a listen to this clip.
I mean, we're talking about Richard Spencer, who publishes on altright.com, publishes an article on July 28th by a man named Vincent Law, where the headline was, "To protect free speech, get rid of democracy." We really have to...
You know what? Okay, so let's use that example. I disagree with that. I haven't seen the piece, but it doesn't sound like something I'd agree with.
It's not.
Does Richard Spencer have a right to speak in public?
Richard Spencer is a danger to society. When he speaks in public, what he is doing, he is publicly recruiting people to his very violent movement, very violent ideology.
So does he have a right to speak in public?
I don't think he has a right to speak in public unopposed, and that is ultimately what the purpose of Antifa is to show up and oppose him.
But it's not opposition. You shut people down, you prevent them from speaking, and you commit violence against them.
Absolutely.
I know a number of people, well, don't tell me it's untrue, I know people who've been knocked down and beaten by people from Antifa. So that is true. It does happen. We have it on tape. We just roll the tape.
Right.
So you're saying, is that justified?
Yes. I believe that communities have the right to defend themselves against threats to their community.
Against ideas they don't like.
No,
they have a right to commit
against
violence.
people who have explicitly said that they want to eliminate those people from our society.
But you're conflating violence with ideas.
No,
if I have not raised my hand to strike you, you have no right to strike me.
But in order to raise your hand to strike me, you have to think that you're going to strike me. And when you are going out in public as a protester, explicitly saying that you want to eliminate most of the people from this country, I believe most of the people in this country have the right to say, no, that's not okay.
Okay, but you absolutely have a right to say it's not okay. What you don't have a right is to prevent me from saying what I think, even if you disagree, and you definitely don't have a right to commit violence against me. And you're blurring the lines there. And by the way, don't you work at a criminal
Yes, I'm in an economics department, yeah.
It's hilarious. Okay, you don't have the right to do that. You have the right to make a counter case. Do you see the distinction that I'm making?
Tucker, when I walked into this building, I counted 5 security guards at the front door and 2 police cars outside. Are you going to tell me that the violence that they would enact against someone who is looking to do you or any number of the people that work here harm, are you going to tell me that the violence that they enact to protect preemptively the staff that are protected also by the barricades that you have?
I don't even know what you're talking. Honestly, I'm not following you.
Are you pretending that you don't have security?
Well, I actually don't have security, but there is security at
there's security
our building,
in your building, for sure.
And there's security at lots of buildings.
And the reason that there is security in your building the reason that you have security is because ultimately that security provides a space for nonviolent civil discourse, which is ultimately what we want.
Oh, no, slow down. There are a million distinctions here, but you don't own the public square.
But I believe the public owns the public square, and at the end of the day,
you're not in charge of the public, and you're not.
The public isn't even in charge of the public. Okay, we are talking about a system that has been gerrymandering people out of public representation. Okay, if we're relying on the cops, ultimately those cops are working for the very people that you work for, and not in the interest of the vast majority of society. We don't have representation. We don't have representation by the state. We don't.
Okay,
this is something you have to
last
understand.
question. Do you teach students?
I do.
Huh. And do you teach them that the First Amendment does not apply to people they disagree with?
I teach them to think critically, and that's why I'm very open about my anti-fascism and my anarchism.
So if someone in
Wow. That was a lot right there. Couple things. I did both audio clips that I pulled from Tucker Carlson and this professor. I find it hilarious that Tucker asked him twice. And you teach kids? You teach kids? And the last one, he goes, yeah, and I teach them to critically think, and I'm very open about my anti-fascism and anarchism. He covered that up real quick, didn't he? But one of the things that really struck me in there was he said that Richard Spencer, anytime he goes out to speak, is recruiting people to come out and protest him. That is dangerous thinking. That because he's not only thinking that, he's promoting that. He's being as I like to say, a keyboard warrior and helping promote that all over the interweb, I'm sure, with like-minded people, the same ones that have just been rebranded from Occupy Wall Street to Black Lives Matter to, I mean, you name it. They just rebrand themselves, and this time they happen to all put bandanas and cover and mask all over their face. And that's just something to really sit back and think about, as why are you covering your face if you're so proud to take a brick and throw it at the police, throw it through a library window? Why do you need to cover your face? Oh, because some of your buddies on the leftists are calling everybody white supremacists, taking pictures of them and putting them all over, where some of them darn well could be, and I'm sure some of them are, but not everybody. I think that's a slippery slope to take. And that's what I'm getting to with this professor is, how can you go on there and say that he is recruiting people to come in opposition to him? That is very dangerous. Very dangerous. It's absolutely one of the things that really keeps me up at night. Another thing on that whole clip was how he was basically talking about people are being killed within their own communities. Okay, so then I should expect to see you at the next March for Life rally? Should I see you outside the Planned Parenthood protesting? I'm sure you would never step foot in anything like that. And you would probably say, Professor, that, oh, it's between a woman and her body. Okay. Killing a baby is between a woman and her body. Okay, good to know. Another funny thing, if you get on theblaze.com has a great article about it. Warren Wilhelm, whatever. You might know him as Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York City. Decided to. He must have had some slippery hands like President Trump with the Twitter, and he went on a tirade to denounce this professor. So we already know that Bill, or Warren, is a communist. He ran a campaign that was basically anti-cop. He vacationed in Nicaragua. He tried to help with discourse with the Reagan administration. And he helped raise money. I think it was, maybe it wasn't money, but he helped with the Señecitos, that almost terrorist group as they're classified as today. And he had the nerve to get on there and condemn this guy. I mean, why would you even say anything? Okay, well, because you're dictator of New York, you think. But I support this professor's freedom of speech. He shouldn't lose his job, because if he loses his job, then you should fire the other 3 professors that I brought up and go through every single one of those professors in your directory on your staff, and they all need to be replaced, because I almost guarantee you they all have some kind of connection to some outrageous comments or any kind of outrageous thinking. That's the most important thing about the Constitution, is you have to support speech that you do not even agree with. And it wasn't even hard for me on this. I don't go around thinking or wanting to keep people quiet. What I think whenever I heard something like this is, just like whenever you eat really cold ice cream and you get that brain freeze. That's what I get that feeling when I see and hear stuff like this. These are victims of participation trophies. That's what this is. Those kids that are running the streets with covering their face up and destroying property, thinking they're awesome. They are a victim of the participation trophy generation, is what I call it. Anyways, gonna go ahead and take a break right here. On the other side of the break, I've got some great audio and some great perspective to talk about Bernie Sanders and his Medicare for All. You're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at Lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
In every rising of the sun, my purpose was to be thankful to be alive. I was even more thankful for the blessings that came with this life, specifically Virdis, my wife. But that came to an end when Aklavane and her minions violently took her away from me. So my new purpose in this life is to gather all the pieces of the Stone's Heart so I can defeat Aklavane and get back my bride. Join me as I travel to new worlds, making new friends and avoiding old enemies. Read more about my story in the first 2 books of the Stone's Heart series, which are now available on Amazon.com in Kindle format. The first book is The Quest for Savit Varda, and that is followed by The Heart of Pagaila. Stone's Heart is more than a fantasy and a sci-fi quest. It's me fighting to get back my precious wife, despite the overwhelming odds against me. Stone's Heart. Join, explore, and believe.
Today, we begin the long and difficult struggle to end the international disgrace of the United States, our great nation, being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all of our people. As proud Americans, our job is to lead the world on health care, not to be woefully behind every other major country. Today, we begin the debate vital to the future of our economy as to why it is that in the United States, we spend almost twice as much per capita on health care as any other nation on earth, and yet we have 28 million people without any health insurance and even more who are underinsured with high deductibles and co-payments. As a result of the incredible waste, bureaucracy, and profiteering in our dysfunctional healthcare system, we are now spending nearly 18% of our GDP on healthcare, $10,000 per person. Incredibly, if we continue the status quo, we will spend an estimated $49 trillion over the next decade on healthcare. That is economically unsustainable for our country.
I thought after last year I'd get sick of hearing Bonnie get up there and ramble on, but I do not get sick of him. And he's so proud. His 16 other colleagues that joined him to promote, push full-on communism, socialism, whatever you want to call it. Most of those people, well, not most of them, but a number of them, like people like Jeff Merkley, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, those are contenders for 2020. They're just getting on to help with the base of the Democratic Party, which it is fractured. You got the Hillary Clinton wing, you got the Bernie Sanders wing. And it's amazing. He said, we cannot keep going at the status quo. We will be $49 trillion in debt. Bernie, does that include the $20 trillion that you and your party and the Republicans helped get us into? That's the question I have tonight. Seriously. That's the question I have. It's like he doesn't really think when he talks. Bernie Sanders, Democratic Socialist, all proud. He's about as socialist as George Clooney, quoting Bill O'Reilly. I mean, he's not social. A socialist doesn't have 3 homes, one of them a $600,000 house on the lake in Vermont. The guy is a joke. He wants to give everybody, not access, he wants to give everybody the right to health care. Well, as I've told you, and many other Americans feel the same way, that some of us didn't need health insurance when we got out of the military. Some of us were going through a rough spot where we couldn't afford health insurance. That's why you need the free market to be fully functional and have competition across state lines. I mean, that's simple. I mean, Bernie says this.
We want to hear from the American people as to the fairest ways that we can fund this program.
Yes, H.A. Davis here, Lanterns Radio Network. I think I'm an American citizen. At least I identify as one, and I would say do not fund this. Bernie, that would be the best way. Because when you were pushing the Affordable Care Act, you were saying, well, the leader of the Democratic Party at the time, and someone that you might have had fundamental differences with, but basically loved each other. You supported the ACA, and President Obama said that your deductible won't go over $2,500 a year. You can keep your doctor. Tell me why I should believe you now. I mean, for goodness sakes, government cannot even get the Veterans Administration, the VA, fixed. You can't even get that properly. And you've had years and years of practice. So, no thank you. No thank you at all. So, I looked for some more details on his Medicare for All plan, and I could find his presidential page. And how much will it cost, and how do we pay for it? How much will it cost? This plan has been, and I'm making an assumption here, you know what they say about making assumptions, that it's probably the same thing, very similar. How much will it cost? $1.38 trillion per year. Just that bill. Well, we already $20 trillion in debt. Our federal government budget is already bloated, kind of like when I come out of Buffalo Wild Wings. And here's how you would like to pay for it, which is going to cause lower wages for people. It's going to cause people to lose their job. A 6.2% income-based healthcare premium paid by employers. Revenue raised $630 billion per year. So you're gonna force employers to pay this 6.2% income-based healthcare premium. It's kind of like the bill they had down in the Oregon legislature. Interesting. See how I'm connecting shows? You know, I'm smarter than I sound. Not by much. A 2.2% income-based premium paid by households. Revenue raised $210 billion per year. This year, a family of four taking the standard deduction can have income up to $28,800 and not pay this tax under this plan. A family of four making $50,000 a year taking the standard deduction would only pay $466 this year. On top of the 466 times 100 that local, county, state government, and your federal government makes you pay. This month, I look at my pay stub and I see I have, minus my retirement, about $700 to $800 in taxes, because I get paid once a month. Yeah, go ahead. No big deal. Take another 2.2% out. No big deal. You know, 3 kids. Don't worry. And I think this is the key for him. A progressive income tax rate. Revenue raised $110 billion a year. Under this plan, the marginal income tax rate would be 30% on incomes between $250,000 and $500,000. 43%, 48%, 52%. It just keeps going up. And it'll tax the heck out of capital gains, limit tax deductions for the rich. You just throw rich on the bottom of anything and Bernie will be happy. The responsible estate tax. Revenue raised $21 billion per year. This provision would tax the estates of the wealthiest 0.3% of Americans who inherit over $3.5 million at progressive rates and close loopholes in the estate tax. Well, everything they say has a loophole. Give me a break. Why do you need... They've already been taxed on everything they have. They need to be taxed again once they're dead? Ugh. Savings from healthcare expenditures. Revenue raised $310 billion per year. Several tax breaks that subsidize healthcare would become obsolete and disappear under a single-payer healthcare system, saving $310 billion per year. Most importantly, healthcare provided by employers is compensation that is not subject to payroll taxes or income taxes under current law. This is a significant tax break that would effectively disappear under this plan because all Americans would receive health care through the new single-payer program instead of employer-based health care. Well, I, for one, would rather stick with my employer-based health care over a single payer. Like I said, you look at the VA, you look at Canada, because what do they always say? We're the only industrial country in the world that doesn't guarantee health insurance to our citizens. You're right, we don't guarantee anything. We guarantee that they have access. Everybody has access to health insurance. It's just depending on if you want it. It's like car insurance. You don't have to have it. You can drive a car down the road without car insurance. But most states, they make you. They require you by each state to have car insurance. So why would I want to switch over to single payer? I mean, it sounds good. No. Sorry, it doesn't sound good. But to some of the people that aren't really thinking it through, because whenever I hear Bernie and his socialist club of Democratic pansies go on and tout their strong socialist, Marxist, communist ties and their theories and divide and play class warfare with everybody, I just sit back and think and go, does that really work? Can that really work when we're $20 trillion in debt? I mean, you look at your local municipalities. They're in the millions worth of debt. But we want to guarantee health insurance. We want to bring everyone in this entire world into the United States. Boys can go into girls' bathrooms. Girls can go into boys' bathrooms. It's all right. When will the madness stop? So here's the question I ask you. This is the one question I'm going to leave you with on Monday night. And I think this is a very valid question. What country are Americans dropping everything and leaving to go get health care at? And I'll let you think on that for a minute. Ding, do, 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 do. Time up. Venezuela? No. They're eating probably boot sandwich right now. It's absolutely a sad thing. Bernie, why don't you go get your health care down in Venezuela? Yeah, your socialist paradise. No. Americans are not leaving to go to any country to get health insurance. You know why? America has the best healthcare system in the entire world. We are a nation that is advancing at rapid speed. We are a nation that is compassionate. Look at after the hurricanes. Look at the fires. People, the good is coming out of people all over. So don't sit here and lecture me, Bernie, and the rest of your socialist gal pals. America is compassionate. We are not pieces of garbage at how you're portraying us. We love people. We're there to help others. But this nonsense of this socialist utopia, take that, pack it up with your 3 houses, and move down to Venezuela and enjoy the boot and rabbit buffet. Okay? From the progressive utopia in Oregon, you're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network.